Hi, this is Anthony Meisner at Land Title, and I wanted to bring you the Boulder County market update. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on with the market shifting into the summer months. So let's take a look at what we have going on. If you get over here into our actives under contracts and solds, you're really starting to see the picture of that summer shift, right? So we were just increasing in listings and under contracts and solds all the way through the spring into June. And now you're really starting to see those under contracts start to slide. And a lot of that might be due to, buyers being out traveling, doing all the things that they're doing in 2021, but it's becoming very apparent. That doesn't mean it's not competitive, but it does mean it's a really good window of opportunity to get your buyers out there in the market that maybe have been frustrated and not be able to get something under contract. Things are starting to sit on the market a little bit longer, which is scaring people just a little bit. But this is very, very good for buyers, right? Now, if you're working with sellers, you definitely still want to push them to get their properties on the market. And I'll show you why here in just a little bit. So if we flip over a couple of slides and we take a look at just active listings and where they're coming on, this really gives us a good indicator as to kind of how healthy this market is. Now, we're still in such an extreme seller's market, right? We're at less than 1 month of inventory, and 1 month of inventory is not really doing anyone any favors on the buy side, right? It's ultra competitive. We have too much going on. There's not really a lot to look at. You guys know the picture. This has shifted just an incredible amount from a year ago. So, 30, 40, 50% down in those, but you can really start to see this seasonal shift when you look at these numbers coming on the market. Now, these are percentage changes. Even if Louisville going to 20 total listings is an 11% change, that's still kind of everything's trending the same direction, right? There's more coming on the market and there are less buyers in the buyer pool. So this is a great sign for buyers. Should not scare sellers off though, because there is the listed sale price is very high, which we'll get to. You can really see where this is shifting more than elsewhere. Boulder's not month over month isn't changing much. It's still really, really strong in the city. But if you look out into the county, a lot of changes happening. Now they've been ultra low, ultra competitive. So this is just maybe a shining light to give some people some hope, which is awesome. Now, if we go over to our month supply of inventory, and the reason I'm skipping the detached versus attached separately when I go through this is those markets are very parallel right now. Not a ton of difference. We have, I've been watching them really closely, and the lower end of the detached market is just directly competing with the attached market. So keep that in mind as we kind of go through this. But we're still under a month of inventory, 0.96. Balanced market is 4 to 6 months of inventory, right? So we weren't even in a balanced market in 2019, even though it started to really feel like that, where the buyer and seller are on equal footing. But at this point, even with the seller kind of holding all the cards and being in control, buyers are able to get out there and get something under contract, even if you're, not a 20% down conventional buyer, which has been exciting. Now, that's only true in some places, right? You kind of know the nuances of this, but from a macro level, Boulder County is just slowly trickling up, which we should continue to see for a little while. I hope we get a little bit above a month of inventory before we really see that shift again down in the fall. In the fall, we usually see a drop in our month supply of inventory again because there's less listings that come on the market and the buyers stay active, right? So there's going to be this interesting dynamic that we're dealing with, but this is a good window. So go hit up those people who are getting frustrated. And you can really see down here over the last 12 months, everything is way down, as we know. But if we look month over month, we're starting to see some of these outerlying markets trend up in their supply line, like Longmont and Erie and Lafayette and Louisville, those kind of things. So very exciting stuff if you're working with buyers in those marketplaces. If we go over here to days on market, though, this is very traditional for what we see throughout the year. We hit our lows in that June, July timeframe where things are moving the fastest, right? June, things felt like they were going under contract in the first weekend, no matter what they were in, what condition they were in. But at this point, we're starting to see that trickle back up. So make sure that when you're getting those listings on the market, those cream puff listings, yes, they'll probably go first weekend, but if they're not, in move-in ready shape, or, they're not an ideal location, or, we're starting to see some of those properties start to sit a little bit longer, or if you overprice them, of course, right? Because a lot of people have had problems with that because we had so much market appreciation in the first half of the year. So be mindful of those things, share that information with your clients. But as this stuff starts to trend up, I mean, look at Longmont, 58% change in their month over month average days on market, right? Some things are really trending in a different direction. So that isn't bad, right? It's not bad for your sellers. It's just, it was so extreme, it couldn't stay there, right? So if we move over now to one of my favorite slides, this is the slide where we talk about by price point. So this is one of the 3 slides I really recommend you use with your buyers and sellers, because it can help paint the picture a little bit better. Because people shopping in Boulder County, unless they're really set on living in the city of Boulder, they generally will look through a larger area to see kind of what they can get for their price range, right? And people really shop by what they can afford monthly. So, our luxury market is just bananas, right? I mean, 11 sales in over 3 million is out of control. These are numbers, look at this, year over year, it's 1,000% more, which that 1,000% comes, that grain of salt of there wasn't a lot going on in luxury, but year to date, we're up over 400%. And you can really see where we're starting to see those shifts. So we're still having these incredible year over year numbers for everything over 1 million. And we're really starting to see, or I guess continuing to see our sales struggle under 1 million really. We're seeing kind of this middle ground where that 600 to 1 million range in Boulder County is pretty normal with what we saw last year, but the lower end of the market is just really not keeping up. And it's because there's not enough supply in the market. So you can see actives here month over month, they're all starting to rise, even those lower price points. So those lower price points, there's a nice window of opportunity here to get out and get something if you haven't been able to the rest of the year. Now, the luxury market, as you can see, is still looks like it's been on fire all of July. That may or may not change, but for now, money's cheap. It's a very desirable place to live. Lots and lots of people keep telling us, oh yeah, we're working remote. We're coming here for the lifestyle change. So we're still attracting just a ton of those higher end buyers. And Colorado, of course, as you all know, is a very desirable place to live. If we move over into the other slide, this is the second slide I would recommend you work with your buyers and sellers. If it's a good time to list those luxury properties, this might be it still. I mean, these numbers are better up here in the luxury price range than they have been. We're starting to see some of the lower price ranges month over month trend up. Now, trend up is, we're going from cash offers to conventional offers, or we're going from conventional offers to, maybe we have a week on the market. But these are good signs. And this is the signs of a healthy market, because we're finally starting to feel more seasonality come into this market that we're used to seeing. Now, we still have, outside of 3+ million, we're still under, we're still really seller heavy, right? We're sellers control the process. Don't let anyone fool you, especially under 2 million. 1 month of inventory is just not enough to have a good back and forth negotiations, those kind of things. So take advantage of what you can, but these numbers are really starting to move up. Now we look at 80% from 6 to 800,000, right? That seems crazy because 80% feels like a large number, but 80% of 0.8 that's a lot, but it's not it's not astronomical change. So we're still in these really low ranges, but it just means you need to kind of tell your sellers what to expect a little bit better. Now, if you're working with buyers, this is an awesome time to talk to them about just that opportunity. The average days on market suggests that they still really need to shop immediately, right? It's not, hey, there's 6 houses I want to see. Let's go look at those on Saturday. It's get out there, actively look for what you want. You might still have to pay asking price or over asking price, kind of based off what we're seeing. But you do see that at least there's some inventory on the market to go look at, right? So that's great. And if you're working with those people that are FHA or VA or something like that, where they don't have a down payment or low down payment, then there's definitely some opportunity presenting itself on the market as well, even if it's not those first to market, quick, high offers, high bidding situations we're getting. This is a great sign though for buyers. Now, I think there's a couple other things I wanted to discuss just a little bit, and we'll get back to the third slide. That's the percentage sold price to list price slide. It's the very last one of my presentation. That one is the third one I would recommend, but it's also worth talking about the sold analysis, just so you can kind of see where we're at, right? Year to date, we're about 300 sales above where we've been. That change is slowly starting to shift down, because if you remember last year, we had this big valley, and then pent up demand through, the summer and fall. So don't be concerned that we're below those numbers last year. A lot of that basically we just took from April and May and moved it into the following months. Now we're really in this elevated market. That's lots more market activity than we've seen in years past. And it's starting to slow down a little bit, which is totally normal, right? This is a very normal seasonal change. You can see in 2019, you can see in 2018 kind of how that goes. And we really start to see that shift take place in the fall and into the end of the summer months. So lots of these submarkets, again, are having those month over month changes, but they're still having a lot of sales. I mean, look at Louisville. They had 43 sales, only 20 actives on the market, right? That's still a really large number, but all those listings coming to market have raised that kind of water level, right, of active units on the market. Now, if you need something to talk about your clients with, what's the appreciation looking like? What are we experiencing? I think the best thing you can look at here is take their city and look, what's appreciation look like in a certain city? They're all very different in Boulder County, but the trailing 12-month number is going to give us the best range of appreciation that we can see. Now, discount Niwot because there's just not enough on the market in Niwot to give us a good judge. This bounces around so much month to month that Niwot's still getting the appreciation that everybody else is. There's just not enough data points for us to really feel that out. We've just had not as many luxury sales in Niwot take place because they just haven't come on the market this year as frequently as they did last year. But you can really see places like Superior, really, really incredible market appreciation. Longmont, are any of us really surprised that they may have actually gotten like 20% market appreciation in Longmont, right? It's going to be different in different sections. Obviously, it's going to be different in different sectors, but this is a good number to start having a conversation with. And if you're Lafayette or Boulder and you only received, I say only 12%, right? That's an incredible number. These are amazing, amazing appreciation numbers. So use this to get out there and talk to your sellers or potential sellers. They really have got a lot of market appreciation, and you can give them some tangible figures to help them realize, is 12% enough that you're ready to cash out? Or is it time to make a move because you now have a good equity position that you didn't have before? So that's the best way I would use this slide. Now, this one, if you need just like a quick at a glance, send it to a client. This is an easy to digest slide. You can really see, kind of how we've trended this year and how it's more seasonal and more normal than what it was last year. You can see that we're probably not going to meet the sales we had in the fall last year, right? We're falling short of our numbers, but falling short of last year's numbers was not a big deal because we had this big valley. So we're still ahead year to date by almost 10% for the county. And you can really see year to date where we're seeing most of the sales. And now Boulder is doing incredibly well because they had some inventory. There's a lot coming on the market right now, right? We had a lot to chip it away at over the last year and a half. And because of that, the sales have just been at record pace, plus a very desirable place to live, even though it's much more expensive. Now, if we look at some of the other markets like Erie, or if we look at Longmont or Louisville, they started with ultra low inventory and they have just been stuck there. So they're stuck with low inventory because everything that comes on the market is moving off the market. It's just not moving as fast as other places because we're not building our way out of this inventory shortage we have. Right? It's very expensive to build right now. We all kind of know what's going on with that, but it's definitely one of those where every market is going to be a little different, but you can really see that we're coming into a more seasonal look at the market, which is wonderful. This is good for us to kind of get back to what the market is used to seeing instead of these extremes like 2020. Now, if we look over to the percentage sold price to list price, I would use your detached or attached unit slide if you're going to work with your clients. And you can really grab it by price points down here, but you can see that we're starting to fall off with our seasonality, right? Now, we are so extremely above where we've ever seen that this should be no concern to anyone. If you're listing your home, you didn't miss out, right? I mean, if you're listing a home, let's just call it $1 million, or let's call it, 900,000 for argument's sake. We're at 104% right now. Now, last month we were at nearly 108%, 107%. And yes, it's slowed down, but this is still an excellent time to cash in and get top dollar for your house. You're not going to see a market like this again, I would argue, maybe in our lifetime, because that perfect storm of record buyer demand, low rates, with the ultra low inventory that was created through COVID, has created this just really record market appreciation, which is giving us true appreciation in the market. So we're still seeing bidding wars throughout most places. Seeing numbers that are 99% and 3+ million just goes to show you it doesn't matter where you're at in the market. Very strong markets. A lot of times, like 2 years ago or a year ago, we were seeing 90% at 3+ million or less. So then when you get down into the 500,000 range, you can see that over the last 12 months, we were less than 100%, right? Over the last 12 months, we were 103% kind of on average. So we've been in that rising tide. The year before, 97%, which is still a seller's market, believe it or not. So lots of good news there for buyers and for sellers. Things are still really looking good for your sellers. They didn't miss the boat, and the buyers can finally get out and maybe compete in some of these markets, right? Things are definitely settling just a little bit. They will continue to settle through the rest of the year if history has any way of repeating itself, right? So the other thing to look at, the attached slide for this one gives us the same indicators, and it's much, much softer than where we were in the detached market, right? We've seen market numbers like this before in the attached market in Boulder County, but there's also just not a ton of attached units. So they are now directly competing with the detached market. And you can really see down here, we're talking 102%. So they're, a little bit of a bidding war still happening, but it's slowly softening. So good news. And if you have any other questions, of course, I'm always here to help. I'm Anthony at Land Title, and I hope to catch you soon. Thank you.